So it's a slightly different process with this sort of project in comparison to your residential developments. With this, you're looking at a much longer lead time. The reason being is that the planning has been taken away from the local councils and town planners. Back in 2014, it was granted what's known as NSIP status, which stands for Nationally Significant Infrastructure Project. That was granted by the Secretary of State. Essentially, the reason for that was that they deem it to be beneficial for them to have what's known as a single authorization process, essentially negating the rights or the requirements for the local councils and town planners to have a say. The reason they do that is for, well, nationally significant projects, be it solar, wind, nuclear energy, or going through to highways and infrastructure. Essentially something that's going to benefit the UK or a local economy drastically and increase obviously revenue to the UK. Now, obviously, with this, we're looking at 48,000 jobs, direct and indirect, over a few years from completion. There'll be the largest single site employer in the UK and one of the largest the largest in Kent and one of the largest in the UK. We're looking at 50 billion of gross economic activity over a 25-year period from completion and hundreds of millions of taxable revenue. So from their point of view, it was a bit of a no-brainer. That was back in 2014. Since then, we've had Brexit and COVID, which have just led to its case even more so. So the reason that this has taken so long, typically to get an NSIP status project from the grant through to the submission of planning, is a 5 to 6 year period. That was that essentially elapsed, and planning was submitted in December of last year. They then had a month for the acceptance, for which that came through on the 28th of January. So as it stands, we now have a few months to wait for the planning inspectorate to review all the documents which have already been, to a certain extent, agreed with Parliament over the last 6 years. It's then a ticking off procedure before the Secretary of State hopefully grants the full development consent order later on this year, at which point the contractors will kick off almost immediately. They are already assigned for this role, and the ground is already there, ready to be built upon.